Republicans in Arizona's largest county pushing back tonight against false claims from former President Trump and his allies about the 2020 election.
Maricopa County's top officials, most of whom are Republican, blasted State Senate President Karen Fann and the auditor she's hired for running what they call an unprecedented partisan recount in that county.
Any Republican who has stuck his head out, it's just been whacked off because they've gone out on their own. I promise you that there are Republicans in the state Senate, Republicans throughout the state, who do not believe a word of this. Well, we're out here now. We've moved, and I think you're going to see others joining.
The Senate used its powers to take 2.1 million ballots in that county, the machines that counted them, and hard drives full of data, and hired a firm run by a Trump supporter who has promoted election conspiracy theories to go through it all. Joining me now is political reporter Julia Manchester with The Hill. Julia, thanks so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
This is kind of a mind-boggling political episode playing out in Arizona. Where do things stand tonight? Are they going to, is there an expectation they will complete fully this recount?
Well, that's certainly the hope for a lot of these state Senate Republicans who wanted this recount to happen. The problem is that it has taken so much longer than it was initially supposed to take. And now there's a week off due to events like graduations that are supposed to take place at these recounting sites. So there's a lot of confusion. On top of that, there is a lot of intra-Republican Party bickering over this. We saw that Maricopa County official really blasting this, saying it was ultra partisan, saying it was part of the big lie that President Trump is pushing about the 2020 election results. So right now, it's unclear as to whether this, when this will wrap up. But I've talked to some people who have said that this could wrap up as late as July.
And to me, there are a lot of red flags in how this has proceeded. Talk about some of the things that raise people's eyebrows about this. I've read everything about the color pens that were in the room, the use of UV light, that the founder of the company doing this is not just a Trump supporter, but a QAnon supporter. All of that together, what do you make of it? And what do the people of that county make of it?
Well, when we look at the company that's conducting this audit, Cyber Ninjas, we know that they're run by an individual named Doug Logan. He's someone who has pushed a lot of conspiracy theories, and is very much a supporter of President Trump. So that's partisan just looking at it. On top of that, we know that just Cyber Ninjas, for example, doesn't have any experience as a company working in elections. They're supposed to be application security. So there's concern about their handling of the audit. As to how people in Maricopa County feel about this, I think it's going to be a mixed bag. Maricopa County is considered one of the biggest swing counties in the country. This is why it's so important in Arizona. It really helps make Arizona a swing state. So you probably have lots of pro-Trump supporters who are very much in favor of this audit, but you also might have some moderate Republicans, Democrats, or independents who say, look, we are nearly, we're 6 months or 7 months after the 2020 election. It's time to move on.
And do you think there's a possibility or are things already in motion to see this exact same scenario play out in other states?
It's very possible right now. Look, if you look at the trend at a lot of these state Republican parties, they are very much under the grip of former President Trump. We've seen that a number of lawmakers who voted to impeach President Trump have been censured by their state parties. So a lot of this is actually up to President Trump. President Trump is very much dictating the direction that these state parties and even the GOP nationally as a whole, what direction they go in. In fact, today it was announced in North Carolina that President Trump will be speaking at that state party convention in June next month. So we don't know exactly, whether this exact audit will play out in a lot of these states. Look, I think some state parties might look at this and say, we might not want to get into open this bag just yet. We have a lot of other things to deal with, or a lot of other issues to deal with. But right now, a lot of this depends on what President Trump does.
And real quick, 10 seconds. To be clear, before this questionable recount began, there were already audits of this vote in this county, and no widespread fraud was uncovered, correct?
Correct.
All right, Julie, thank you so much for your time and insight, and I'm riveted by this story, and love to have you back as things progress. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marnie?